doesn't get going as quickly. I mean, we talked about Dusty potentially coming on through and causing an upset by being more aggressive. They've drafted the more aggressive composition. Astralis have drafted their comfort. Henning, how are you feeling about this last game of the day?
I mean, Astralis is going to have to show up here. If they would lose this one, that would mean Astralis is like deep into a slump. Like losing twice in a row as a potential top team versus two of the potentially weaker teams in the league. I think Astralis, there's a lot of pressure on them right now. They need to show up, and I think that if something would happen early, like maybe an aggressive early mid play from Viking and Backland, like shutting down Astralis early, they might get sort of nervous, and I mean the pressure is really mounting up for them.
It definitely could be. On the other side, of course, Dusty still haven't got a win yet. So going out of week 2, 0-4 would be not the optimal position to be in. And Astralis, as we know, yes, they might be a little bit slower. They might not have the explosive pace that a team like X7 have shown, but they can control the game very well. They have players who are capable of doing so. And of course, as Gulberg said, Tax's job is just going to be controlling the jungle matchup and making sure that Viking isn't able to get that aggression down. And if Dusty go 10, 15 minutes without being able to get a lead, then Astralis might start thinking, hey, now's our time to shine. Let's go online and start wrecking some faces. But as minions start clashing and jugglers both starting towards this top side, we'll have to wait and see what transpires.
Yeah, I think if a jungler is going to be able to play aggressive early, I think it might be Viking. He is this like really smart and aggressive player, so I would not be surprised to see him try to make something happen early. I just remember the game on Monday where his bottom lane actually died level 2. Oh, speaking of bottom lane, they're trading sort of heavily here. Yeah, but on Monday his bottom lane died to a level 2 gank from a Xin Zhao, and he was really disappointed about that in the interview afterwards. Spoke about that as being sort of a turning point for the game. So picking the Xin Zhao now himself, can he make something happen, and if so, in what lane?
Well, Wendell forced to flash away early on by Dusty, hitting that level 2 first and getting some pressure down is going to be very useful, because of course if Venser can get a lead, then this Jinx comes online much sooner, and then Dusty's win condition starts looking a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game, looking at these two comps, it's basically going to be the battle of the AD carries, like Venser or Chrisberg, Jinx or Ezreal. Who's going to be able to carry the game? Because the rest of like the mid-jungle top side of the map is pretty much just going to be really good at creating space for the AD carry, but they are really the big damage dealers for both of these teams, and they have a shielding support, probably going to be giving them an Ardent Sensor buff later on in the game as well. So I'm looking forward to see what these AD carries can do, and we do see the pressure coming down from Dusty here early on now in this bottom lane, having both the push and getting the flash on Wendell. I think an important factor there that you have to point out is the choice of starting item for Chrisberg. He has selected to go for the Tear rather than Endurance Blade or even a Longsword. So not as strong early. Also has went for the heal instead of the TP for the extra power in laning phase.
Venser coming on through, getting those choppers down, has caught Wendell out with no flash available. He's going to go down. First blood goes over to Dusty's bot laner.
Yeah, when there's no flash of the Karma, it's a really difficult position. Mid lane fight though.
Oh, so close,
wow.
But Cress unable to get that final auto in.
Yeah, unfortunately for him there. Backland able to run away with a sliver of HP, has the TP to be able to come back, and then the Unsealed Spellbook to be able to get some different useful summoner spell there in a few minutes. Also in the bottom lane there, we could see that Viking actually went in and almost tried to take the kill towards the end there, but did not end up getting any assists. So just the assist on the Ludo and the kill on the Jinx, but that is still a pretty decent early game advantage for Dusty right there in the bottom lane. Finished Noon Quiver right now for the Jinx is going to prove to be quite strong. I'm not sure what Ezreal is going to be able to pick up here. Perhaps just a couple of longswords. So Venser does have a strong position in this laning phase, and I would love to see Dusty keep playing around this bottom lane.
And if they can do so, win condition could well be odd. Backland needs to be a little bit careful about this mid lane, though, as we saw earlier. Cress has got the pressure, and in top lane, it's an Ornn, so don't worry about it. It's fine. But with the jungle matchup being a case Taxi need to control it, how is he going to be able to do if the lanes like bot lane are able to cause issues and create problems without actually needing Vikings intervention.
I think for Taxa right now, it's just about hitting that level 6. Get the wards down, control vision for your team, but just power farm to 6, which is exactly what he's doing right now. Has not recalled yet, he's just been clearing top to bot, bot to top, getting all of those camps, trying to get to level 6, and then look to make some pressure happen to perhaps towards the mid lane. Backland could be a good ganking target. We heard the analyst desk speak about the Orianna Hecarim combo and the strength that they have. But now Taxer might be looking for a play here. Remember, he's not been shopping yet, so no items in his inventory. Perhaps just gonna clear his last camp and then go for the recall.
Which should be pretty easy for him to do. The game has not had the most fast-paced opening, as Aleph just going to be chased off his wave by Carlson, who's just hit 6. Of course, a player we've talked about plenty in the first couple of weeks is Carlson up in the top side, coming in and performing exceptionally well on this Astralis roster as Dusty used the priority, used the reset to grab themselves the first dragon of the game. The Cloud Dragon should be pretty easy to remove as Backland just guards that river entrance, and with the Chemtech being the second, I'm not going to be seeing that one as a soul for our final game of the week. But Dusty are doing everything that they need to do. Of course, they're not the ones who are wanting to play the slower style necessarily, but they've got plenty of scaling. So if the game kind of sits with them having a small gold lead and there's no way for Astralis to get anything going, then maybe they'll feel okay.
Absolutely. We'll see here if Aleph is going to feel okay, though, as the dive's coming in.
Yeah, going to be called out. Flashes over Taxa, and he'll just ride away. So, flash burnt, but no kill going over.
Yeah, and Taxer here on this Hecarim. I was suspecting it when I saw the face rush rather than the Conqueror, but now it's been confirmed with the first recall that this is going to be the tank Hecarim. Just going to go for that Chemtech, whatever it's called, the speeding item. Having a bit of a brain fart right now, but yeah, going for that, the tanky Hecarim, not going to be dealing any damage, and honestly, I don't think this build is usually that good, since you're not really a threat to the enemy backline, which is pretty much what you need to do against a Jinx. With the Orianna, I guess it's a bit better, because you'll be better at just delivering the ball into the backline, so hopefully for Astralis, if you're a Danish fanboy, it's going to prove to be the better build.
If you're Goldberg, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
No.
That's what I meant, but didn't want to call him out.
I'm all here for calling out Goldberg on the show, but right now Astralis not doing too badly, so we can't laugh at him just yet. And of course, Dusty coming out of Iceland, the only representatives from that nation in the NLC this split, and have always been the representative for Iceland, really, in the past couple of seasons when it comes to Nordics. Of course, there are other Icelandic organizations, but very much the leading one as Viking will lead into a charge. Taxa able to move away, not going to be too caught out, but the Rift Herald is still going to be focused down by Dusty. Astralis hanging around in the neighborhood. Carlson coming in from the top side, potentially for a collapse, but there are lots of members of the Dusty roster here. A fight you feel must be kicking off. The eye has popped. It's on 1K. Can Viking secure the objective? Tax is going to be chased away. Taken low. Has to ult to safety as Dusty secure the objective. Wendell is going to be chased back as Viking decides it's better to catch the eye than to force anything further. No kills, but objective secured.
Like seeing this from Dusty, they're pretty much playing this as we saw with the Caitlyn Lux earlier on, when Bifrost was playing that comp very well. It's first using the strong winning bottom lane to secure the dragon, then roaming them up to Herald, getting priority, getting there first because they had the push, and then getting them ahead in the bottom lane. So Dusty's really utilizing this Jinx Lulu winning lane. Well, not winning that hard, but being slightly ahead and having a bit more pressure in the lane. I think they're utilizing that very well, being able to secure 2 early objectives.
Absolutely, and on the flip side, Wendell hasn't been able to get too much going on. The Karma roaming around, Viking looking mid, jumps onto Crest, won't be able to get the knock-up though. Nice ultimate coming on through, back and forth to flash away, but Viking flashes forward and grabs the kill in the mid lane, survives one more tower shot, and will be able to back off. Wendell too slow to the punch, and it's another kill for Dusty.
Forced to use both flashes there, but Crest flashed as well, and getting the kill onto Viking, getting him started to snowball. That is definitely pretty good. Also, Wendell was roaming up towards the mid lane there, trying to cover for his mid laner, so that means that Dusty gets one plate in the bottom side, as well as a bit of an XP lead. FGG now with level 6 compared to Wendell level 5, so I think this is looking pretty solid for Dusty, and I mentioned how much was on the line for Astralis. They are the heavy favorites, but they're still like under a lot of pressure to perform, and they're falling slightly behind right here. We'll have to see how strong the mental game of Astralis is.
I mean, it's only 2 kills. The gold lead is less than 1,000, so we'll have to draw our lines where we do, and Astralis definitely have strong options to scale into, known for their slower style of play, and they haven't given away too much yet, although Viking moving on forward might look to change that, getting the gank going. Will he be able to dive on through? Catches one, but won't be able to dive forward. Looks towards Wendell, looking for the knock up onto him, and Venza picks up the kill. But now Taxa's here. The Jinx is low, but dives on forward toward FGG. Has to ult himself. Zap will land. Polymorph too as Chrisberg goes low with 0 mana. Backland and Kress have both arrived on the scene, which will spell the end of aggression. Well, Viking, he has the Rift Herald in pocket. He has a Jinx, and this tower might not be long for this world.
Yeah, Jinx and Xin Zhao, both great champions, are taking down a tower, and with the Herald, they're going to get first tower, not solo onto the Jinx. It's going to be sharing with the Xin Zhao, but still so much gold going over to Venza right now. Huge on this Jinx, and Dusty are just coming to play today. I mean, I was sort of almost touched by the interview that Viking did on Monday, because he was so disappointed by how the team was playing, saying that had more in them, and they are showing that so far. I like the way Dusty are playing, and if I was Goldberg right now, I would be shaking a little bit.
I mean, Astralis, again, maybe haven't showed up to the races, and this is the first time that we've seen a significant gold lead this game. 2,500 to the good off the back of that Rift Herald investment and that first tower going down. You could already see Venza moving up towards the top side. Smells more plates, and FGG and Viking have got some license to move around a little bit more and try and get something going elsewhere. But yeah, it's not been the best week so far for the Danish roster. Whether they'll be able to come back into this one, and of course, must be noted, it's early days in this game. There's not too much to worry about so far. But Dusty definitely looking the stronger of the two teams right now.
I think this is a smart play from Dusty. They're going to be giving Dragon in favor for Venser being able to free hit top lane tower. I mean, it's a bit weird to throw your dual lane to the top lane once Dragon is already up, but Astralis is actually not going to fall for it. They're going to go for the catch onto FGG instead.
They will find FGG, going to be forced over. The Chomper's nice ultimate onto 2, will catch the backline as now Taxa looks towards Venza, running for the hills. Viking also fleeing, uses some damage, and actually Venza getting the reset, will be able to dive away. Carlson follows through and will be able to cut him down. That's an excellent play from Astralis. They call the bluff and pick up 2.
They did call the bluff indeed. I think it was a strong setup for Dusty, but Astralis just saw exactly what was up right there. Going for the big, like instead of going for the dragon, which would give Dusty a lot of damage on the top lane tower, they went for the catch, and you can see the Lulu Jinx against the Renekton and Hecarim. Like once they're able to gap close, there's not too much that Dusty can do. I mean, Venser plays it quite well, but Carlson on this Renekton just so very, very strong, and with the speed buffs from Orianna and Karma as well, they're just able to run down the enemies, and Astralis are now in a pretty decent spot.
Find their way back into it, grab a couple of plates also on that top side, so getting some money back in their own pockets. And this is the power of Astralis. They're not in the world's worst position. Yes, there's a couple more kills on the Jinx than you maybe like, but that's fine. We'll just kill Venza. It's whatever. Yeah, we can see what they're trying to do with the setup. They're giving us a free dragon. Nah, no worries. We want to get those couple of kills and get ourselves back onto the Rift in terms of gold rather than objectives, which of course does give Dusty the opportunity to start up the dragon themselves. And with the positioning of Astralis, I don't think they're too fussed. Second one should go down as Elif on the top side. Not really. Just giving some respect, not wanting to get called out. He's like, nah, I know where you are, and we'll have to see what dragon we're getting for the last game of the day as the observers drag us away very rudely. But it is going to be a mountain, so they clearly weren't that interested, and I don't think we are either.
Yeah, not the most exciting dragon, not the most exciting rift either, so Not really too much to say there. Of course, it's going to be pretty decently strong, but not the strongest dragon. Ooh, Viking with a huge damage together with Backlund, and Wendell goes down.
Tax has to ult over into the Rift Herald pit to get away from any kind of collapse coming through from Ornn as well. And with that nice pick onto Wendell, it does give Dusty the opportunity to start up this Rift Herald. They've got members in the area. Even Venza has decided to show up and get involved rather than being in a side lane. But with tower plates having already fallen off, there's not as much gold value to be obtained. In fact, let's check in quickly with gold observers. If we could have a quick peek-a-roo and look at that from Venza, 1.2k ahead is pretty nice on a Jinx this early on.
Yeah, pretty big lead right there. Also decent lead in the jungle for Viking. But on the other hand, Kalsen is a bit ahead in the top lane. So still sort of close in the gold, but I definitely rather be in Dusty's shoes here, scaling up with this Jinx. Together with the Lulu, I do believe that's going to be a pretty early Ardent Sensor. And it's pretty much anyone's game. Like in these team fights, Astralis have a good comp to be able to shut them down. Like Hecarim with Turbo Chem Tank, Ghost, Speed Buff from Karma and Orianna. Like he's gonna get on top of your Jinx. The thing is that he can't kill her himself though, so he's gonna need some sort of backup there.
And the support for the Jinx with that Lulu, with the Xin Zhao, with the Ornn. Yeah, you can maybe get on top, but are you going to be able to, if you can't explode the Jinx on your own, who's going to be supporting you? Are you going to be able to survive? You've got the Zoe as well, who's going to be a consideration moving forward as well. So questions, lots of questions to be asked of Astralis talent. Will they have answers? We'll have to find out on the next episode of Team Fighting. But right now it's just a case of sieging and taking down this mid lane tower. We'll be able to do so. And Astralis are going to be chased back for a second charge. I don't think there's going to be too much damage past that. But it's always nice for Dusty to be able to break open the map, especially in this mid lane, and get to fight over these neutral objectives a little bit easier.
That was a bit weird. Crest just went top lane without TP and like pushed in a couple of waves, but didn't even stay around to hit the tower, so Astralis couldn't really defend that. Rift Herald was able to actually get a second charge on the tier 2 tower. I think that is pretty big for Dusty. We'll give him some more control, some more opportunities to put down offensive vision in the enemy jungle and try to starve them off their own jungle. So do you think that was a mistake from Astralis?
Yeah, they will be able to grab that bot lane tower though. Carlson cuts it through, and Viking very sensibly doesn't look to defend, but rather just holds off behind the tower and allows Venza to come in to lap up the wave. But Dusty are looking particularly strong, not looking like a team that's yet to win here on the NLC stage in 2022. And Astralis running hot and cold at the moment in this game, and indeed in the season, have started to come back online just a little bit. You said you were more comfortable with Dusty's position. What do Astralis need to be looking at, do you think, for you to change your mind on that?
I think they need to try to keep going for these catches, finding Dusty out of position. They do, like, it's going to be down to Taxer now that he has completed his Turbo Chem Tank. He does have Ghost, he does have Ult, he does have Chilling Smite. Like, he's so fast, he's so good at finding the catches. But he needs to have the proper vision to be able to go for the plays, knowing where the enemy team is, and then having the follow-up. So if Astralis is able to find like 1 or 2 picks with the Hecarim, that could be really strong. I think they could also try to utilize Carlson's strength in the side lane on this Renekton. There's no one on Dusty who really wants to split push, so... Well, even Orianna like could pretty much go side lane this game, and there's no one on Dusty who can really go toe-to-toe with them, so... Going for something like a 1-3-1 with Renekton and Orianna split pushing is also a decent choice here for Astralis.
The macro decision maker, we'll have to see. Taxer so quick, dives in but doesn't find Venza. Catches out FGG, who will go down. Elif called into the mid lane, but too late to save the spot.
Oh!
Comes on the other side and he finds Venza. Double kill to Crest. Just like that, Astralis talent do exactly what you said and pick up 2.
Amazing set of plays for Astralis right there. First of all, Taxer setting that catch up really well, just pretty much one-shotting the Lulu who didn't even have time to flash away. But then the TP for us, no, it wasn't even a TP, it was just a straight up flank from Carlson. Like, that was really well played, being able to get into that position. Like, he just got on top of the Jinx. So let's take a look at what happened. Taxer can just go in for the backline, and Venser already using the flash. This is a solid Hecarim play right there. and then Carlson just walks on top of the Jinx, and there's nothing that she can do at that point. And there, it doesn't matter how fed your Jinx is. It doesn't matter that you've been able to get your AD carry rolling, giving her plates. Like, that's irrelevant when there's a Renekton who can just walk on top of you unpunished, use his entire combo, and just one-shot the Jinx. So really well played for Astralis.
And now, just like that, they close the gold lead to 1,000. And if you can remove Venza from teamfights the way you did, then one more team fight and it'll be a lead for Astralis. Dusty back to the drawing board just a little bit, but they only lost those kills. They didn't really lose anything else on the back of it. In fact, have taken... Well, they lost the dragon off the back of it, but it's the first mountain, slowed down on the soul and the elder, but not going to be losing sleep over that one you would have thought. But Baron is now on the rift. It's something worth gaining vision for, and Wendell wants to try and prevent Viking from doing just that. And Astralis, you can tell that they've just started threatening a little bit more, and Dusty maybe a little bit scared.
I think they should be a bit scared. Like, this is a strong point for Astralis being able to pretty much equalize the goal, and they have that big 2-item power spike for Chrisberg now. He's getting rewarded for starting with that tier, as it's been stacking up to complete the Muramana early. 2 items across the board, pretty much. Well, only on the 2 big carries as I look at it, but they're still pretty decently strong with the power spikes at the moment. I think just they have to be a bit careful now for a while. And Astralis are taking they're slowly securing a bit of control here in the enemy jungle. Do you like it? Speaking of Backlund here, he's not been really performing too great this game. I mean, it's not the easiest champion to pilot the Zoe, but it's not really been able to make any big catches. And I think Backlund's previously been one of the stronger players on Dusty, one of the big carries, and I think he needs to step up and find a big catch here if Dusty is going to win this game and get the first win in the NLC.
I mean, he has been a little bit quieter, that is certainly true, but one big catch can be all it takes. One sleepy trouble bubble catching out one member, but Taxa might look to catch out the entire roster, dives on through, gets on to 5, but there's no follow-up immediately. Carlson in the wings, but Dusty just gonna scramble out back towards their tower. Yes, they burnt a couple of flashes. In fact, only one flash from FGG. And this time around, Astralis can't make it stick.
I think that's just playing a bit too far up there. You really need to secure vision on your sides when pushing up against the likes of Hecarim and Renekton, who can go for the flanks. Oh, the Oriental.
The engage coming through. Watch Carson. He's looking towards Venza. He cuts him down. Will fall for his troubles, but so does the tower. Dusty lose their main man. And all they cost them is one crocodile.
Yeah, pretty big there. When the Jinx dies, you don't really have any consistent damage on your team. Yeah, Viking's going to be putting out a little bit, but he's building towards more of the tankies in Zhao, so you do really need to protect the Jinx, and that, of course, is something that Astralis knows, and that is why this Crocodile has been eyeing the Jinx over and over in these fights. Did use the flash there, though, so it's probably not going to be there for the next fight, which means it's going to be a bit easier for Venser, who's going to get his own flash up quite soon, and he's going to be able to perhaps survive a little bit longer.
Backlund dancing around in the mid lane, but Dusty and Astralis both posturing towards the Dragon Pit. Up in a minute, Taxa dives on forward, finds Elif and FGG, but won't be able to find a prime target as Backlund dives to and fro over the wall. Venza nowhere to be seen, quite smartly being like, I don't want to be near that horse. He's been throwing stuff at me and I do not like it. So Venza for me is someone who's... The game is going to be won or lost around Venza or Venza's corpse.
Yeah, totally agree with you right there. If Jinx dies in these fights, Astralis can win. If Jinx lives and just DPSs through the fight, Dusty's going to win. Pretty important cooldowns there burned from Taxer, both Ghost and Hecarim ulti. 28 seconds now before the potential third dragon here for Dusty, if they're going to be going for this big fight. And it looks like they're going to look for it.
Well, Venza takes a decent chunk of damage before this one kicks off, but Elif looking for the knock-up, lands it onto Wendell. Look at Venza on the side, though. She's shooting towards Carlson. The Jinx is running rampant. Viking picks up the first kill of the fight, and this time around, it's not the Crocodile that's getting the collapse. Nice ult from Crest to try and disengage, but Viking will survive as Venza runs rampant forward, hyped up and ready to go. but too many options, too many avenues means that Dusty just cool off the fight and potentially move towards this dragon.
Yeah, strong set of plays there for Dusty. Astralis without the Hecarim to be able to engage there without any of his big cooldowns. Look at this, there's no Ghost, there's no Hecarim ulti, so yes, they do have the Shirelias for Wendell, but they're not able to make any good catches here. And the counter-engage from Dusty is really good, and you can see Xin Sao and Ord just being this big front line, completely zoning out Cress from the entire fight, like he's not able to do anything. And then Taxer is just standing really far back as well. So while Chrisberg is throwing some Qs, he is, I'm not going to say pretty much alone, because of course the rest of his team were still contributing in that fight, but Dusty played that really well, did the zoning really well, and they were rewarded with a third dragon, now one away from a Mountain Soul.
And the Mountain Soul give a little bit more survivability. I mean, if Venser can survive half a second longer as he throws his ultimate directly into Chrisberg's face, then members of the team could shot. FGG might just need half a second to get the ult off. Viking might need half a second to ult himself. ALF might need half a second to headbutt that massive ram back into the enemy team. So it could prove to be pretty big as Astralis maraud through the enemy jungle. Maybe looking to catch someone out. Ornn down in the bot side has teleport, but look, they're flagging onto Venser. Nowhere to go. Grab the Jinx. Yes, the ultimate comes through. Cress only catches onto one, but I think this is going to be a complete round as Elif dives into the backline trying to save FGG. But Lulu, not a priority target, actually able to step away and kill down Taxa. Backland on the backline, might look to get onto Chrisberg, but misses the skill shots as Elif will be cut down. Dominus is used, cuts down Lulu, forces the flash from Ornn. And Zoe skipping up the top of the screen has nothing that can be done. Ornn being chased down the wrong way down the map and can't even dash out. Excellent play from Astralis, and Dusty just didn't need to be there.
Yeah, very nice catch from Astralis. We can see here Dusty does not have vision, has no idea where they are, and then Tax just coming in from behind. I think he actually missteps a bit with the E right there onto Venser, but is still able to take him down eventually. And then Renekton Hecarim on your backline. That's not where you want to be if you're a Jinx Lulu. Actually able to live a bit longer than I thought, and they're able to chunk down Astralis pretty well, which is actually going to prove to be really important, because that means Astralis could not go for the Baron. I believe they did not even attempt to go for it. So Ornn surviving for quite a while there actually proves to be quite important.
Not being able to get Baron is going to be massive, as Dusty will be able to lose the fight, but not necessarily lose objectives on the back of it, as we dive back into the action. You can see the Worm's still standing, and Dusty, for the first time in a long time, behind on gold. Yeah, it's 100, and it will be evened out by taking down this wave, but with Astralis finding their way back into this game, they've got late game options. Dusty have late game options, and if one fight goes the way of Astralis into a Baron, we could be talking about them winning in a couple of minutes' time.
Yep, and there is the Infinity Edge getting finished for Venser here on this Jinx. A big third item going to be coming in with a Chemcheck Putrefier as well for FGG, which is also really big up against likes of Hecarim and Renekton on the front line. So Jinx is going to be a even bigger threat when that is finished. On the other hand, we've been scaling up quite well on the side of Astralis, though, notably the Crown of the Shattered Queen getting finished, but Chrisberg makes him significantly harder to kill, while he's still going to be able to put down a lot of damage. And it's going to be quite important to poke war, actually, between Chrisberg on one side and Backland on the other, to see who can chunk out the enemy team more before the fight actually starts.
And the fight's going to start in 1 minute 10 seconds, because that's when the dragon spawns, and Astralis do not want to give away this soul. Whether Dusty want to try and trade, potentially, they've got a Jinx, they've got a Xin Zhao, the Baron could go down reasonably quickly.
And we've now seen both the AD carries using their ultis to scout out the Baron when no one's been on it, so both being able to do that with Jinx and Ezreal, yeah, for sure. It's going to be able to Q the wave here, which does reduce the cooldown on all of your abilities, so we'll probably have that ulti up again. Yes, he will, for the Dragon fight, because he's level 14 now, so the cooldown is still quiet shirt. But this is going to be a big fight. I think a lot of it's going to come down to who can find the stronger position before the fight. So if Taxer, for example, is going to be able to find the flank, or if Carlson's going to be able to do the same thing, like basically the more chaotic the fight's going to be, the better it's going to be for Astralis. If it's just a standard front-to-back fight for both teams, Dust is going to be favored. But if Astralis can find the flanks or can make the fight chaotic, they're going to be benefiting from that.
Ooh, Ornn trying to start a fight. Nice flash from Crest to dodge away from the ultimate, and the fight gets very, very messy. But people go low. Venza is on the back line somewhere, just shooting as much as he can, manages to slip away, but puts the ult directly through Astralis. They part like the Red Sea and look towards Viking. They're not going to be able to find a pick themselves, but the Dragon should go down pretty smartly. Dusty could look to contest, but needs to be careful. Skull's going to put the vision in, and now it's going to be secured. Astralis denied the soul, but with Elif coming back in full health, they might try and get members in the pit. Get a knock up onto one. Crispr goes over the wall as Taxa might be caught out. Venza gets the shutdown, gets excited, gets the resets, and is now potentially looking for more. Backland secures one as well, as Astralis grab 2 quick kills. And yeah, they lose out on the Dragon Soul, but if they can survive a second longer, they might look towards Baron.
They have a really good Baron taking team. Well, not great, but still any team with a fed Jinx, that's going to be a good Baron take. So they will go for it. Backland's going to recall and then teleport back in here. Crispberg actually just using his ultimate. This is going to be a 5 versus 3 situation. Will Astralis go for the contest? Looks like it. No smite on Taxer, which is really huge. I think that looks to be about 10
massive.
seconds still come off cooldown, and this is going to be Baron for Dusty, I think.
Venza! Baron goes low, but there's the ultimate onto Crispberg, but the shield keeps him alive from the Karma. The Baron will be secured onto 5 members of Dusty, but no members of Astralis lose their lives.
Actually, quite important that Venser uses Flash there, trying to catch up to Crispberg while not actually being able to kill him. That Flash is going to be huge in the next fight. Although he does actually recall for Quicksilver Sash and a stopwatch, so he does not want to be caught out next time around, because that's what happened in that dragon fight. I'm not sure if we have a replay of that very important dragon fight, but Carlson was sitting in a bush without Dusty having any idea that he was there, and Vence just basically face checks the bush when there's a Renekton there, gets chunked down, almost dies at the start of the fight, but in the end is able to live and is pretty much able to carry that fight. Also need to mention Backland. I gave him some slack earlier, but he played really well in landing some crucial poke onto Crispberg, forcing him to Arcane Shift out of the Dragon Pit, and then just sitting throwing max range Qs, which is not really where you want to be on that Ezreal. So Dusty playing that fight well. They are going to now be sieging the base with Baron buffed minions.
This doesn't look like it's going to be one of those big game-winning Barons, potentially. There's still a lot to be taken outside the base. You look at top tower, the outer's still standing, but Dusty already cleared out the mid lane, will be clearing out the bot lane, and as you mentioned, last fight, Venza got caught out, but Venza survived, which is maybe good signs for Dusty, as they might say, well, now we know that we can keep our carry alive, especially with stopwatch and a Quicksilver Sash to boot, as Venza getting aggressive, and they talked about it on the desk, not wanting to backline, but Carlson's looking for a flag, Taxus looking for a catch, and Venza on the backlines looking for a way out, but really nice play to catch out Renekton. Nice ultimate coming through as well, as Venza pops QSS and might be able to pop members of Astralis' team. Moving forward, 1 more shot, 2 more shots, will it be enough? Nice break up on the backline from Taxus to save Carlson's life. But members of Astralis do go low. Dusty feeling comfortable to continue this push onto Inhibitor at least, but I think that's all she wrote.
I mean, someone should go check on Goldberg right now. Is he okay? Like, this is Astralis looking sort of shaky, getting outplayed by a Dusty who's 0-3 right now. They're looking to be in a great position, while Astralis, I mean, can you even call them a top team if this is how they perform in a game against Dusty? I don't know.
It's week 2. It's a difficult one to call because, yeah, they lose to Eminem if they come out and lose to Dusty, and the game is by no means over, but 4,000 gold is a notable lead with Baron still on the backs of members of Dusty. And the league it was very predictable week 1, but we've had a couple of upsets involving a couple of teams, and Astralis definitely at the center of that so far, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. The Nexus still stands, and Astralis talent have shown that they have the ability to take team fights. One big one as Baron falls off could well get them well back into this game. A couple of good performances as Crest cats out Venza once again, who gets a little bit over-aggressive, and Venza just needs to start being a little bit more careful about going near bushes that don't have wards in them.
Yeah, he's been playing with a lot of confidence, which is both a good and a bad thing. Like, he's been getting caught out here a couple of times. Not going down though, is able to survive and does still have that stopwatch as well as now the Mercurial Scimitar, which is definitely a good thing for him. Notable to see in the build is no lifesteal in the items. I guess he has Legend Bloodline because he's still lifestealing up a bit, but he's not really going to be able to sustain that up. Here we go.
The horn, the knock-up lands on the two this time around. They look for Crest. They break up the fight. Venza on the backline. Keep an eye on him to see if Astralis can get a re-engage going, but Carlson has been caught out, has to use Dominus defensively as the Dragon will spawn onto the map. This could be the decisive team fight as Taxa burns on forwards. Can't find anyone important though, and has to ride away. Backland dives forward. Cannot get a pick. And it's a lot of throwing and it's a lot of dodging from this fight as we see Dusty lose priority over the Dragon. But nice catch from Venza on to Chrisberg. Teleport coming on forward as they look towards this Dragon. It's 2.5k who will be able to secure it. Viking looking for it. Will grab it. And there's the soul for Dusty. Astralis in retreat. But it looks like with Cress's ultimate, they'll be able to get away for now.
They got the Mountain Soul there, and while that was going on, a huge minion wave came into the bottom side for Astralis. I think, yeah, they were actually able to save this Nexus Towers with Carlson recalling, but will they be able to save their base now? Justice gonna go in.
Backland looking to get a catch, won't be able to find it, but the second inhibitor is the focus of the rest of the team. Dusty secure it. And you can see Venza, he's like, oh, can we engage? And the rest of Dusty's like, maybe not, maybe let's just play this one a little bit safe. Ultimate coming through from Chrisberg just to grab a little bit of poke damage. But he's not doing very much to that Ornn, who's tanking up all of the shots as Viking moves bot to try and bring minions in to tank up towers. One of them is less than half health as Dusty look to try and close this one out. The horn has been called once again. Nice knock up as Nexus Tower 1 is the lead. Taxa dives on through, but he's not using it on Venza, who gets the deletion, almost killing Chrisberg. The ultimate will land onto Crest though, as they pick up another tower. Taxa dives back on forward as Venza goes golden. The stopwatch saves its life, and just like that, the scripts are torn asunder. Dusty secure their first win of the NLC spring season as Astralis lose both games in week 2.
What a showing from Dusty. I mean, they're just outplaying Astralis pretty much from start to finish, and now they're playing with their food. This is how you establish dominance, not even killing the Nexus until you're forced to. Wow, Dusty, that is impressive.